Welcome back to another edition of Unapologetically Real with that guy named Mike. And today's videos are about the two most popular alien interview videos on the internet. And I've been wanting to do this video for a while, but obviously had a lot of stuff going on. So just to kind of give a little bit of backstory on this first one, this is probably the most credible of all the videos that I've seen on this subject matter. Um, and this is the older of the two. So let's just go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and start the video.
The film that you are about to see is jaw-dropping, and it was passed over by the New York Times. The New York Times had an opportunity to run this story, and they didn't. We're going to show you this unbelievable film in just a moment. But what's more astonishing, however, might be the cover-up and the secrecy of this top-secret film. My guest today is Jon Stewart, former candidate for Illinois governor and U.S. Congress. He spent more than 5 years investigating, proving the provenance of this alleged film, this top-secret film, which we're about to show you, and which you are about to see. And it purportedly shows an alien, an extraterrestrial, biological entity being interrogated at the S2 facility in 1997 by members of the U.S. military. Yes, an alien creature being interrogated by members of the U.S. military. And just a few weeks ago, our guest, Jon Stewart, hand-delivered his entire investigation to Congressman Tim Burchett's office. And he's become the first non-government civilian to submit a report to the United States Congress regarding the extraterrestrial phenomenon. Jon, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you here on Redacted.
Like most people back in 1997, this was part of, or this was a documentary that came out. I go to sit down and watch this documentary thinking alien interview. This is going to be like a weird humanoid looking person handing a clipboard over to a general at the Pentagon for a job interview. I mean, this is how my brain was thinking. And I'm sitting down, and 30 minutes into this documentary, this footage comes on. It's not professionally done. It doesn't have any cuts. There's people in the foreshadow. This gray alien is bone color, bone, like human bone. It's got round eyes, not almond shaped eyes. If I'm hoaxing a video of a gray alien, it's going to be gray, and it's going to have the typical almond eyes. And this bizarre physiological monitor next to the beam that goes up and down and not across the screen. And then Victor, the alleged whistleblower who claimed to have helped smuggle this out of Area 51, that's the way insiders talk of Area 51. And I don't think a 23-year-old screenwriter in 96 could have made up this script that Victor was talking about. I mean, the vernacular he used was bizarre, and he used a term called medical flagging. The creature starts to medically flag. And I asked my old doctor, who was about 65 years old at the time in 97, on my annual checkup, I said, "What is medically flagging?" He looked at me, he goes, "Where did you hear that from? That's like a Army medical term we used in the 50s and 60s. I'm like, "Wait a minute, what is going on here?" And then there was an acronym on the bottom, DNI, David November Igloo /27. And Victor tells us that was the Department of Naval Intelligence. So I run for Congress 2 years later with this film in the back of my mind going, what is going on here? And I don't want to say his name anymore because I'm getting admonished for doing so, but I was on a political bus tour, and I went up to a senator during a break, and who has passed away now. And I said, "Senator, what is the Department of Naval Intelligence?" And Clayton, you look in my eyes. This guy went from jovial, happy senator to this aggressive look. And he looked at me, he goes, "You don't need to know anything about that." And he stormed off, and he never talked to me the rest of the tour. Clayton, you're a journalist, you're an investigative reporter too. I'm thinking, wait a minute. I got a hoaxed video with medical terminology from 50s and 60s. I've got a gray alien that's tan and round eyes, medical staff that are in short sleeve scrubs and not in biohazard suits to really hype up the video. I've got a monitor that I have never seen in 35 years of my life back then. And I've got 3 letters on this hoaxed video that has just pissed off a United States senator. What in God's name is going on with this film?
So here it is. This is, again, it's silence. There's no audio on this. What are we looking at here as we play this film? What are we seeing on our screen, John?
Okay. Contrary to Victor's voiceover, this is a film shot April of 1991, a thought projection interview of a other gray, designated an other gray, an extraterrestrial biological entity. He is a haploid, which means he came with only one sexual chromosome. Human beings are diploids. For any microbiologists out there, if I'm hatcheting those words, I'm sorry. But this being had only one sexual chromosome. He came to the S2 alpha, the official designation of the underground facility that housed the alien interrogation and retention program. That's the unofficial name of what this was. They call these interview suites the ambassador suites because the government did try for the care and did treat these and look at these beings, and still do, as ambassadors from other planets and other dimensions. And if you hear David Grush coughing on his words, it's because he doesn't want to tell you that some of these beings are from other dimensions. And so this being was very ill at the time. He had a respiratory issue. Now, Sean David Morton also heard, I can't verify this veracity, that it's some sort of debilitation or disease with its heart-lung sac. It does not have a traditional heart. It's got a heart-lung one sac, which was the need for the special monitor, which goes up and down, does not go across, to monitor this bizarre heart-lung one sac organ that the alien has. And behind the viewing glass were 5 men, 2 telepaths. There is a researcher out there, but that's how bizarre this film has gotten. And I'm not even going to tell you anything about the telepaths because I don't want it to get into the Da Vinci Code. But even Doty said that the telepathic program, the people they hired, was ridiculous. They were like one step above 1-800 psychics back in the 80s and 90s. But there was 2 men in particular that were very in touch with these beings, and they would sit down with these aliens and these beings and immediately get information and relate it back to whatever military person was in the room. As you can see on the tape, the being eventually starts to medically flag, if I can use the whistleblower Victor's terminology, and he is then attended to by the medical staff. And Victor tells us that the medical staff in S2 and S4, are more chosen for their ability to keep secrets than their medical knowledge. And again, I have been in contact. I have the names of the 2 doctors that are going to be on either side of this being. On the bottom, you're going to see DNI/27. That is the Department of Naval Intelligence. According to Richard Doty, there's like a conga line of different agencies waiting to insert their questions to this being in the 2-hour-long interview. The interviews are conducted about once a month.
What did you start to piece together from people who were in the room? And so when we say hoaxed video, I think you're saying that was what the assumption you had going into this, that this was hoax. That was sort of the media speculation about this. Now you've proven and taken it to the United States Congress, which, by the way, they're about to hold a hearing on this next week. And I think that this is, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be a big piece of this. And other whistleblowers are now confirmed to be coming forward to Congress next week, civilian whistleblowers who are going to be testifying of the things that they've been a part of and seen.
Like Linda Moulton Howell told me when she saw the list, you have gold here. Why? No one has ever heard of these people before. And like Linda said, and these people are on Google and are real. And I said, yeah, they are. And she said, son, you got gold here. And so I got the list of names, but I know investigative journalism. That wasn't just enough just to have the names. I mean, come on, that's ridiculous. So I started to vet every single person on the list. The first person was retired, working for TRW, and TRW. These are the men, by the way, who were behind the glass in the viewing gallery watching this thought projection interview. That's what it's called. It's not telepathy. It's actually called thought projection. And the first one worked for TRW. And I said, well, this is a hoax. He wasn't even in the military. Sean David Morton, who was in the office of the production company, who first got the call from Victor saying, I've got this VHS tape of an alien, said, no. TRW is like hand in hand with the government. They do every kind of secret project and whatnot. I said, wow. And Doty said that it was not filmed in S4. There are no alien housing there. The alien housing is in S2 alpha. And I'm like, what's S2 Alpha? She sent me a satellite photo of it and said, that's what it is. It's called the Alien Retention Program. This being was brought in on a part of Project Pounce. Doty's like, I don't know the provenance of the being, but I think it was from the Kalahari crash where 2 beings were recovered. But the alien program, whether that be the retention, the interrogation, the biological reverse engineering of craft, that all is now taking place at Michael's Airfield at the Dugway Proving Grounds. The program to interview the beings in S2 was called Project Aquarius, which was basically all things about aliens in contact with human beings. And that is from the email, and that is also from Richard Doty's mouth, who is verified as the counterintelligence agent who is in his 70s and wants to tell the story, the truth of what's going on and what the government is covering up.
Wow. So there's a lot to unpack there. Now, I remember back when that video actually first came out, and I remember seeing it on TV and thinking, oh, that looks kind of fake. Like some of the head movements and the bobbiness kind of seemed puppet-like. Like it was advanced Jim Henson type stuff. A little bit more advanced than like the Dark Crystal, but not. But I do think it's interesting is as the years went by and that video got popular on the internet, a lot of people were saying, wow, if this is a government facility, why is it so poorly lit? Why are they in a dark room and these medical people are just using these little handheld flashlights to see what's going on? Why don't they just turn the lights on? And I was like, yeah, that's a valid point. But then you got other people who are, like Linda Moulton Howe, that have said in other interviews that there is a strong belief that their skin is hypersensitive to different types of light arrays. That they may even be photosensitive in a way that they can actually photosynthesize energy. Like they actually may perform some type of photosynthesis. That's just a theory. And I know I've read and seen that somewhere in all the UFO lore throughout the years. So that could be a possibility why. And if you think about in the past, you've had multiple sightings by law enforcement officers in the 50s and 60s where they claim, I saw these beings come out of this thing and they were wearing these little tight silver suits. So maybe that's just kind of a protective thing for their skin. So that would be one explanation as to why every time there's some kind of interview in these facilities, it's always in a dark room with just like one light on them. But that's probably, since there is so much of a backstory, that one I think has a better probability of maybe having some merit than a lot of the other ones. So this next one is actually newer. And this is supposedly from Project Blue Book's archives or something in 1964. I seriously doubt that because this video was leaked out after the internet was a thing and like Jurassic Park movies were popular. Toy Story and Jurassic Park are out there, and then all of a sudden this video gets leaked out. So I just think right there it's a little sus. And looking at this EBE also apparently is supposed to be in the same, I don't know, race or whatever as the first video, but they look different. So I don't know. And this thought projection, I've heard Linda Moulton Howe and I've heard multiple people, George Knapp and Bob Lazar and some of these other people infer or imply that these creatures do not speak verbally. Like they may not even have vocal cords, which is why they speak telepathically. Like they have this thought projection way of communicating because they lost their ability to speak oratorically or audibly. So with that being said, this is the second video. It's not as long, but this is one where I think this is kind of suspect because It just looks too good to be true. And it talks with this really deep voice, and it's speaking in perfect English. Again, So here's video number 2.
State line of origin? Okay, yesterday you told us you traveled, and I quote, thousands of light years to get here. Yes. Tell us the truth, or another we hear. It is truth. I thought about So I take it aliens took over our future, right? So you're human. Okay, so you evolved from us. So what are you doing here now? How? Okay, so how about we concentrate on your time? Try me. Wait, so you know the meaning of life? What's the difference? So you know how the universe is created? So you've seen God? Okay, illuminate us. What happens when we die?
Interesting. I just think it's kind of a confirmation bias kind of video where it's like, we're just you from the future, and we grew past the concept of believing in God and myths like that. And I don't know. That one seems, like I said, too good to be true. Again, it's another dark room with this light coming straight down. At least the other video was like, there was no like spotlight coming from directly above. And you know what I mean? It just seemed slightly more believable than this one. And I'm not saying I believe in either one of these. I'm just saying these are the 2 most popular alien interview videos on the internet and have been for a very long time. Only because they appear to have the least amount of computer generated animation in them. At least the first one. The first one looks legit it looks legit old. So, anyway, I'm going to reserve judgment on whether or not I think those are legit or not, because I don't know. All I know is that a lot of the stuff's becoming more and more popular again since the government's come out and admitted that we have craft and we have biologics that came with those craft. So I don't know. More and more stuff's leaking out all the time. I think they just had like their 3rd hearing the other day. So the government's legit taking this seriously. The government that's not in the know is definitely, I think, finally ready to investigate who the people are in the government that are in the know. And the fact that we may be limited to knowing some of that stuff because a lot of that stuff may be in the hands of private powers, private industry, which means they're untouchables according to, as long as they're not breaking any laws that they can define. Who knows? And they're obviously going to have some kind of apparatus within the government that's going to protect their identity. because there is probably a level of our intelligence agencies that are aware of these things, and probably if we have back engineered some of them, those would be the agencies, I think, that are probably using them to spy on people or their own citizenry or our enemies or whatever, or trying to use this technology to monitor what these EBEs, what these extraterrestrial biological entities are. EBs, or whatever the fuck they call them. But yeah. So that being said, guys, thank you so much for joining me for this shorter video. I just wanted to cover those really quick so I could delete them out of my stuff and move forward with other fun videos. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Are you a believer? You think either one of these things is real? Let me know in the comments. And please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. Please. I eventually want to tap into some little bitty part of the algorithm a little bit. So pretty much all my views are just my 28 followers and some randos out there that I share on the internet that think my thumbnails are cool enough to click on for 5 minutes. So anyway, till next time, keep it strange, y'all.